Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
It should have been you, in place of him dying. I loved him.
I stood there and laughed at the irony of what was about to go down. Today, we bring the story of a wife who cheats on her veteran husband and ends up loses everything. I dedicated 25 years of my life to serving in the Marines, a journey that took me through the rugged terrains of Afghanistan and Iraq. The tours in Afghanistan and Iraq were demanding, pushing me to the limits both physically and mentally. Yet, the camaraderie among fellow Marines and the sense of duty kept me going. I witnessed the harsh realities of war, but I also experienced moments of triumph and solidarity that will forever be etched in my memory. Being away from home for so long was difficult, but knowing I had a family waiting for me made it worth it. Nancy held things together while I was gone, and our love helped us get through the tough times. We have two wonderful daughters. The older one is 20 now, figuring out her own path, and the younger one is 17, almost ready to be on her own. The elder one is a medical student, and the younger is a part-time teacher a few miles from home. Now that I'm retired, I started a security company. It's a new challenge, but I use the skills I learned in the Marines to keep people safe. I have to travel frequently as I have expanded my business in various cities. After returning from one such business tour, I found my elder daughter, Maria, a bit off and not her usual self. She had a bitter breakup a few days back when her boyfriend was caught cheating on her. That evening, I took her out for a coffee. While having coffee, I pressed her to tell me what is bothering her. She started to sob and opened up and dropped a nuke on me. She stated that my wife Nancy is cheating on me. She once overheard her mom talking to her affair partner, berating me and planning their meetings, when I will be not in the city. She further added that she read her messages on her phone, and it seems that this has been going ever since I was serving in the military. I was heartbroken and lost. We went home, and I asked Maria not to talk about this with anyone. She agreed. She stated that she understands, and in case I decide to divorce my wife, she will be by my side. At home, I decided to do some investigation from my end. I was able to log into her social media accounts and her personal emails. I found the motherlode of evidence. She had sent him nudes, videos of them having intimate experiences, some of them shot by my wife herself. Multiple chats, where she is berating me and calling me a fool, making fun of me because of my PTSD. I copied everything on a hard drive and kept it in my office. I was shattered. I have lost my brothers in battle. Seen innocent lives lost, but this does not compare to anything. I never abused her, never raised my voice at her, and never disrespected her. She had hit me on occasions, even in front of my daughters. This happened while I was on antidepressants due to my PTSD. I have a few friends from the Army who were like brothers to me. They were all from the same unit as mine. All of them retired like me. I wanted to know about my wife's AP and wanted their help. I explained everything to them and asked them if they will help me. They all agreed and offered their support. We all set out to check my wife's background. We found out that my wife was having this affair with a man named Donald. He was her college sweetheart, and they had broken up when he had cheated on her. Birds of feather flock together. We further found out that Donald was a criminal with a record in drug trafficking and petty thefts. Then came the biggest shock of all. My younger daughter was not mine. We did a DNA test on both my daughters, and it turns out that only the elder one is mine. It was then I decided that I would meet Donald and check what is going on. I wanted to meet him alone, but my friends insisted coming along. I refused. A friend of mine, a cop, now advised that I meet him in a group as it will be safe. I did not listen to him. I got to know that Donald was at a local bar drinking with his friends. I reached the bar and walked towards him. He saw me and got up from his seat, and he was drunk. He pointed at me and told his friends that the woman he is screwing for years, this is the lucky husband. He walked up to me and put his hand around my shoulder and whispered in my ear, "Your younger daughter is not yours. She is my spawn." I guess my wife must have told him. I held my composure, although every inch of me wanted to rip him apart. He then further berated me by saying that I have PTSD and at nights cry like a baby. He stepped over the line when he said, "Are your fellow soldiers also a wimp like you, and are their wives lonely and available?" I then shoved his hand off me. He slipped and fell down. While getting up, he pulled a gun out on me. I tried to calm the situation, but he kept walking forward. I quickly disarmed me and threw him across the floor. By then, my friends had arrived. They had followed me to that bar. Donald got up and snatched a fork from the nearby table and tried to lung at me. I moved back and landed a punch on his face. I heard a crack sound. I guess I broke his orbital bone. He collapsed on the floor and later was taken to the hospital. At the hospital, he had a cardiac arrest and died. The doctor said that his body was frail and was almost run its course due to drug abuse. My friend, who was a cop, was present at the scene and stated that there will be charges pressed on me as I had acted in self-defense. He later told me that he had his gun pointed at Donald before I landed that punch. He stated that he was almost ready to fire. I did not go home that night and stayed at a friend's house. In the morning, I went to the lawyer and gave him all the evidence and explained what had happened. He then stated that we should do a paternity test on my younger daughter for good measure. I was against this, but agreed to do it. I went back home and saw my daughters at home. I met them both and they hugged me just like always. In a few minutes, my wife came out and started screaming at me in front of my daughters and hit me in the face. I turned my face back towards her. It was at this moment she knew she effed up. I gave one back for good measure, and she had no clue what hit her, and she almost got knocked out. I quickly got to her and asked what happened. Why are you on the ground? Did something hit you in the head? She was all dazed and confused. I guess it was enough to factory reset her. She got back up and started screaming at me again and called me names and a killer. My daughters asked her what happened. I too chimed in and asked, yes, tell us what has happened. She was silent for a second and stated that I have destroyed her life by killing Donald, and it should have been me who should have died rather than him. I asked, why do you care for Donald? What business do you have with him? She stated that he was the love of her life, and she loved him. I then asked, why did she not divorce me and walk out when it was the time? I would not have stopped you. You could have had a divorce and married him. I then told her that you did not want to divorce me as you knew that Donald is just a cheap man who can only satisfy your carnal desires, and he would never be your husband. You kept living with me as I was the husband you wanted and kept effing him as he was the tool for your body. I told her that she is plain disgusting and a waste of oxygen. I told her to leave the house and never ever try to look back. My younger daughter then asked her mother to stop. She walked up to her and just spat on her face. I scolded her for that, but she just ran to her room crying. My elder daughter held my hand and told her mother, don't let the door hit you in the butt. A few hours later, my mother-in-law called and started abusing me. I told her, call me when you have to talk and not judge. I hung up. She later called again, and I sent her the videos and the images from my wife's social media. She was shocked and apologized to me. I hung up. A few days later, Nancy was served with the divorce papers. When it came to the court date, we gave all the evidences of her cheating, and the judge decided that she does not deserve any alimony, and it was because of her that the marriage broke down. I was granted my divorce, and the child support did not matter as the younger one is already living with me. After my divorce, I went a step further by sending all the evidences to all our relatives and known mutual friends. I left no place for Nancy to seek solace or sympathy. My younger one does not know that she is not my daughter. She has been my daughter ever since she was born, and I will keep it that way. As for Nancy, she can go and rot in hell. My girlfriend who cheated on me and got pregnant by her AP wants me to help her with the delivery. Her mother is now pressuring me for the same. I am 28-year-old and my girlfriend is 25-year-old. She was 6 months pregnant when she confessed that the child was not mine. She was crying and wanted me to forgive her. It was then that I got to know that she was cheating with her bad boyfriend. As soon as he got to know that she was pregnant, he bailed out on her. Chad did what Chad does best, pump and dump. I told her that I will never forgive her and she needs to leave my house once the baby was born. That is the maximum that I can do. I stated that I will help her with the doctor's visit and other pregnancy-related things. During the next few months, she kept saying that she is in love with me and my actions have made her realize that she was wrong and I am the one for her. I did not want to talk to her, so did not engage in these discussions. One day her mother was there, and they were discussing her upcoming delivery, and they asked me to be at the hospital with her while she delivers a baby. I refused and told them to call Chad. My girlfriend once again started saying that I was the one for her and she loved me. I sat down and looked directly in her eyes and said, I do not love you. I can never trust you and will never want you to be in my life. This help that I have done is just a charity, and the day the child is born, your stuff will be packed and ready to be picked by your mother. So, deliver the baby tomorrow and get lost. She started crying and her mother also asked me to be supportive. I said no. She did deliver her baby, and just as I promised, I kept all her stuff outside at the door. Her mother picked up her stuff. I never saw her again and never want to.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.